that's from the French that we have that from Louisiana French. So we'll say something like, we can't do that video, no. Or we already did that, yeah.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we are back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video, guys, because today we'll be sharing a topic that is kind of stereotypical and controversial. So a lot of people feel like speaking Ebonics and, you know, that language is a little bit ghetto. And it's not. So on the channel, we're all about positivity. You know, we're learning a lot of things with each other about a lot of our cultures.
Yes, we are.
And this is a part of our culture. Okay, we are from the United States. We are from the South
of the United States.
And we rep the South proudly, although our past is yeah, we wouldn't have been repping it back then.
Nah.
But it has transformed, and, you know, our culture has transformed.
It has.
So we would like to react to this video with you guys. We have not seen this video, but we may learn some new things. Things that we did not know of before. We do know that this language was developed from Africans on the plantations in the South, where we're from. Which is why there's people like us who are educated people who can speak in this language. Speaking in this language does not negate your education. It does not provide a level of intelligence. I can speak with the professors on the highest of high level, and I can speak with the people from the hood on the lowest of the low level.
Come on now, you preaching.
All right? So if you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit the red subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell, because we're on the road to 50K. And we cannot get there without you guys. All right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into this video.
Peace, and welcome to The Breakdown. I'm your host, Clary. Now, whether we call it African American Vernacular English, Black English, Ebonics, or just the way black folks talk, the cadences, phrases, and expressions birthed within African American culture demonstrate a unique approach to the English language with a special history few have studied. Today, we're going to take a deeper look at the African influence on this English language and the origins of the unique ability African Americans have to turn a phrase, express a sentiment, and merge an African sense of grammar and vocabulary with the English language. We're going to get into all of that and more right now on The Breakdown. The Breakdown.
Language is the primary means human beings use to share ideas with one another. And if you were to ask the average scholar, they might describe the origins of the English language as mostly German, with major influence from the various Latin languages. Whether we know it or not, we use English words rooted in German, French, or Spanish all the time.
Hamburger, bouquet, taco.
But what about the commonly used English words that came from Africa? The African influence on the English language is a topic often ignored in academic circles.
There are quite a few words that are African in origin that are now commonly accepted English words. In Senegalese languages, wow, or something very similar to that, is the word for yes. And we say wow, of course, all the time as a word of affirmation now. Also words like yam, gumbo, okra.
Wait a minute.
Not the gumbo.
I didn't know the actual term gumbo came from Africa.
Right.
What?
Like y'all was talking about gumbo before gumbo hit the spot where we at. Like that's what's up though. I like that.
Well, we do know that Louisiana is where gumbo was originated.
Hey, you know about it.
Yeah, I know we some Louisianians, die hard.
That oftentimes we've been able to associate those back to African roots.
The black folk who learned to speak English
learned to speak it from English people who were ignorant themselves.
Oh.
So the ahs and the dems and the does was how the British people from the British Isles, from Ireland, from Scotland, spoke when they came to America. It was the poor folk who were...
So, if you have been on the channel long enough, you have heard us say like double negatives and double positives.
Right.
And I believe that's from the French that we have that from Louisiana French. So we'll say something like, we can't do that video, no. Or we already did that, yeah. Like, we kind of answer ourselves.
Yeah, it's crazy we do that. I don't know why, but like we be like, over there, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to kind of confirm that you heard. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you just, hey, it's over there. And then you wait for the reply, but I don't know what it is with that extra word that we just throw on the...
So I feel like we all, like the whole world, just have a little bit of everybody just all over.
It's true.
The overseers on the concentration camps that they call plantations. It wasn't the highly educated, but even within us adapting this foreign language, this oppressive language, there were methods of speaking and communicating that were part of the African culture that we use to dress up this language, right? To give feeling and soul to this language. It is because of the energy that emanates from the body that gives life to the words, that transforms the consciousness of the people hearing those words. That's soul communication, brothers and sisters. That's what we have, and we have it better than anybody else.
In the 17th century, when masses of Africans were brought to the Americas on slave ships, they were forbidden from doing anything that might be considered a threat to European control. It was a long list that included anything from wearing African clothes, to playing African drums, to practicing African religion. And one of the most crippling restrictions was forbidding enslaved Africans to speak their own languages, which hindered their ability to conspire for escape or counterattack.
That's
As a
net.
result, out of necessity and ingenuity, Black people in North America developed their own style of speaking, a seamless blend of English and African languages, and often wrapped in code.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It was cold. Like, one of the ways that they spoke was through music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And how my
Singing
man was
it,
saying it
yeah.
earlier, it's just a connection to the consciousness that it comes from a soulful place. So when they
Right.
would hear it, they automatically kind of get that, like Harriet Tubman, whenever she would make that hymn, they knew what time it was. You know what I'm saying?
It's sort of like how it has transformed in today. So we can say, all right now, and you know how we feeling, that means don't do that. Or we can say, all right now, because y'all hear me say that a lot. And it's a joyful thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like that.
Or like this one right here, and everybody know this one. Like, whenever somebody come up to you that you don't even know, and they hit you with that, you good? You
Right.
instantly think, defense mode.
Right.
So, because you don't, like, I don't know what it is.
Like,
Just
what
something
you
about
doing
that phrase. Yeah, you feel me? So,
Yes.
Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the waters.
Coded language, that is language that the enslaved would use to communicate with each other so that their masters, the white community, their mistresses, the overseers would not be able to readily tell what they were saying or the messages that they were giving to one another. Oftentimes, there would be ways that they may want to communicate just to have some privacy, because so much of their lives as enslaved people was dictated to them. And to be able to have...
Isn't it crazy how these people, our people, were deemed less human, were deemed stupid,
yep.
but they were able to do things like this that was just so sly and slick.
Yeah.
These people were intelligent people. And you have to remember, especially when you are in a sector where you're teaching younger children about this, you have to remember in America, we're taught our history from when our people came here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
Yeah.
a whole nother history before our people came here.
Yeah, that's where the pages are locked up at.
Right. So these people had a life before they came here. And for people to look at them as if they just didn't know any better.
Right.
Like,
But you
that's-
see, the thing is, though, they had to conflict so much fear on them that it would it would kind of slow them down and make them look less of as well, because, you know, you're in position to be dealt with any type of way.
Right.
But even in them predicaments, they were still looked at as geniuses among them people, among themselves, because when it's that time to speak in code or time to communicate or be slick and sly, they were still able, to get away with certain things.
Right, exactly. Like,
The
especially
braids.
the braids and how they used to hide rice in the braids and put the maps so they can escape, and, you know, all of that stuff. But I was going to say, fear was put in them, but at the same time they were feared.
Yeah, that's why.
It was forbidden for them to learn how to read and write, because they knew how smart the people were.
Yeah, I mean, look where they came from.
They knew, but they tried to brainwash themselves that the people was dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that's stupid. That's stupid as hell.
Some agency and some control over their communication. That was something that they were very ingenious about. And so some examples that we have would be the Negro spirituals.
Yeah.
Every time he be going to the store, he be getting the same thing.
The indefinite, continual, or occasional tense is an African grammar device that is often applied to English. It is a tense that does not exist within traditional English grammar rules. But it does exist within the grammar rules of certain African languages, and its usage in English is practiced almost exclusively by descendants of enslaved Africans throughout the diaspora.
Nowadays, we hear quite a few people, they'll use the expressions, he be going to the store all the time. You have the subject with the verb to be. They oftentimes would incorporate those vocabulary words into their existing.
It's crazy because when I was in school, I used to write how I talked. And the teacher would always mark my paper wrong. I swear to you, I would get so many red marks across my page because she was like, everything about that story that you just wrote was wrong.
Right.
I'm like, what was wrong with it? How you wrote it and how you made it sound. It's like, so how I'm speaking is wrong.
Right.
So I had to change
That's a good
my
one.
way of speaking to fit the teacher's perspective of A+. Like if she looked at it and said, you wrote it how I wanted you to write it, you would get an A. But I couldn't give it to her how I felt.
Right.
So
Because it's like we learn one thing at home because we're amongst, you know, our families. But when we went to school or go to school, our children really don't have this problem, but we did. We had to switch the thinking cap. Like, hey, we're at school, so we have to speak proper English. We have to speak in complete phrases. We can't, you know, talk to our we can't speak to our teachers and, you know, school administrators the same way we'll be able to speak to our parents or other adults that we know in the community. Right? And it's crazy because me, a person who is a writer, when I went to publish my books, the characters in my story are from rough areas. The characters in my story are from the hood. So I switch back and forth on, you know, using that English, and like when I'm telling the overview of the story and the different points of view, and, you know, doing like the narration, I'll use proper English. But when my characters are speaking, they're staying true to themselves.
Facts.
That's crazy because I had a lot of problems.
Really?
Like in elementary. But by the time I got to, you know, the advanced classes and even, you know, going into honor programs in elementary, that's when I learned, hey, there's two types of English. There's your English and there's the English of this country that you have to abide by.
That you have
to. And another thing is, because we're from the South, we deal with this. But maybe the northern states, people there don't deal with it as much. Because maybe it's not their norm. I can't really speak for the North because I've never lived there, but
Right.
I do know, it's just culture differences all across.
Yeah, and
the
it
United
sucks
States.
because then they will call you unprofessional for
Right.
that as well. And it's like, what is professional? It's
Mm-hmm.
only what the highest up has displayed it to be. And even then, that description is probably not the best one. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, we do know that when we are in professional settings and we are in, different sectors, we do know that we have to code switch.
So I'm gonna mention something real quick before we get back into the video. Another thing was my wife is in theater and she does phenomenal. So I had got into a script once upon a time and I wasn't good at reading the script and then trying to be what the script was. Like I know you have to be the character in order to really fill out who you need to be, but I came to a point where I had to be myself first in reading the script. And then I could fulfill who the character was, but I had to get instantly into character mode, and I was like, I'm just to the point in my life, like, I just wanted to be myself. So I couldn't do it. I had backed away from it.
Grammar structures.
So one day be tripping. And you speak this language, and you were listening to me, you understand that I mean Swande's tripping right now. He was tripping the last time I saw him. It's a perennial situation with him, etc. So that's 3 different time tenses.
See, this is what I like. An educated woman, a woman, when you see her, when you hear her speak, you know that she's an educated woman, but she understands. That's what I appreciate. And Dion and I met in a college program. Well, we were in high school, but we were enrolled in this college program. It's called Upward Bound. Let us know if you know about it. And we were around Black professionals who spoke like this.
Yeah.
Who could change when they're amongst themselves. There
was love too.
Yeah, amongst themselves, they're speaking professionally. But when they came to speak to us, they knew how to get down to our level.
Yeah, they broke it down.
Right.
Yeah. That's what's up, though. That's facts.
Every time he be going to the store, he be forgetting what I asked him for. So then he be calling me, asking me what I be wanting.
Another way African thinking is often applied to the English language is in the usage of opposites as emphasis.
Yo, you heard that new verse by Pusha T? Crazy.
Crazy.
Stupid. Yo, LeBron's skills are
You
dumb.
speak like
Dumb. Foolish.
We'll say, that's a bad coat.
It'd be so crazy because when we talking like that, we be so passionate.
Right, so
like,
passionate.
We be so passionate. It would come from a place like. So that's why when I get around certain people and I hear them talk, some of them really be like, the profanity be there. And then you have some people who are just really grimy with how they talk. Like they come from a place when they talk. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear them, I understand. But for some people who never made it into a level of professional world, lawyers world, teachers in college, and they hear these type of conversations, when they see somebody come back and they hear that type of language, they be like, oh, you think you better because you could talk like this and you can switch it up like this, and they don't see the ways of life because you have to go down these different avenues. You know what I'm saying? God is good. Amen? You go down these different avenues and he help you, manifest.
But even the pastors can speak on this level. Like, I work for a very sophisticated lawyer.
Shout
very
out her. I remember.
sophisticated. This lawyer had the essence of Felicia Rashad. That's how she was. And this woman taught me so much about, just being a strong, unapologetic Black woman. She was like, Sierra, it's okay. You just have to know who you're in the presence of. And you have to know your life's purpose.
Yeah.
So that is why I used to have a very, very strong, thick New Orleans accent. But I've gone through a lot of voice training because of theater.
Right.
And, working in law. So that's why, if it wasn't for those 2 careers, I'll be up here like that.
Ooh. Tell them about it.
And we don't mean that in the negative. We mean that very positively.
Right.
And so we have taken that colorful use of language and we're still coding our language. But now it is not because we are shielding from an oppressor.
Right.
It is because we have reappropriated a tactic, a strategy that was used 400 years ago.
Yo, she bad.
You heard what
Yo,
she
she
said,
bad.
right? You heard what she said. We're no longer trying to shield our communication, we have reappropriated it.
Yeah.
Reappropriated a tactic.
That's why it's not for everybody. The language isn't for everybody.
I just
Like how it's given and how it's pronounced, and you know what I'm saying, how it's spoke among certain people. It's not for everybody. So when we hear certain people speak it, it's like you forcing it, bro.
Yeah.
Like you don't. If it's not in you, don't let it come out like that.
And another thing, I just don't like how people downplay it and try to make it a bad thing or try to make it seem like, oh, that person is uneducated.
Or negative.
Right. That doesn't mean that at all. If you listen to the average rap song today, not the average, any rap song, please tell me what language they're speaking in. Other than, like our real intellectual thinkers. Okay? And even they speak Ebonics. J. Cole.
Yeah.
So, it's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. And I just don't like how people just try to make it seem like anybody who speak that language is uneducated or less than. It's not a less than
Yeah,
thing.
I always got the hand that, the dealt hand that I'll come off as negative.
Right.
Because the way I would speak would be very strong, and it wouldn't be the way of that group. So when they would hear me, they would standoffish, they would laugh, they would look at me weird, they would shush and stuff around. So I'm like, yeah, this is not for me, this is not my environment.
Right. They didn't understand your tone.
Right. My tone, yeah,
They
exactly.
were ignorant to it.
Yeah.
And ignorant just means you're just not educated in that area. It's not a bad thing.
It's not.
And I've said this recently in a comment. In a way, we are paying homage to the Africans by speaking it, by continuing this language 400 and something years later.
Right.
It's not bad.
Bad? What's so bad about that? Not bad meaning bad, bad meaning good. Oh, so bad mean good. Oh, you stupid. I'm stupid. Oh, that's a good thing, right? Oh, no. That's not good. How you think? No, not stupid good. Stupid bad. Bad stupid.
It's like reading between the
I
lines.
understand.
Yeah.
It's the language of the barbershop, the beauty shop. It's the language of that you sing your praises to God in, right? And I don't know, no black person who won't know what I'm saying if I say, don't know Jesus, can't tell me nothing about him. They know what I've said.
We know.
They understand that there's a bunch of double negatives in there, which is a hallmark
Spoke about
of the
that.
language.
Today, more African Americans are coming to understand these grammar rules differently than they did in the past. Rather than avoiding Black English for fear of appearing uneducated or denouncing it as ignorant, many now see it as an important link to the African American ancestors who built this nation and the African linguistic roots so many thought were cut off forever.
If you have not learned the language of the classroom, that is not an indictment against you. That's an indictment against the classroom. And if you come to that classroom speaking that language, and you're discouraged from speaking it, so that you are muted, and you get disinterested in education, that's also an indictment.
It's kind of what I spoke about earlier. Yeah. Because when you go to your teacher and your teacher's not approving the way who you are, you instantly just feel a disconnect with the class.
Right.
Especially with your teacher, because every child go to class to see their teacher. So when your teacher is not approving you and who you are and your language and how you speak with the class and just patting your head, stuff like
not
that.
Understanding what that is.
Stuff
So,
like that makes a child disconnect and they want to distance themselves. They fall into a silence.
that is why we need diverse schools across the board,
Yeah,
across
it can't
the
be one way.
nation. We need diverse schools. You can't just have a program on Asian studies and not have a program on Black studies.
Right.
Like, it needs to be across the board.
Which was born. And it's the language that we speak to each other in. And it's the language that we innately, I think, understand. I'm not speaking improper anything. I'm speaking proper spoken soul.
Proper spoken soul. Girl, I'm going to use that.
Now as we enter into this new era of African pride and Black power, it is more important now than ever before that African Americans really understand the full story of who we are and what our contribution has been to the world. by recognizing and celebrating common heritage shared by Black people in America, Africa, and throughout the entire diaspora, we can work together to create a better world for us all.
Yeah.
That's it for now. I'm Clarity, and I will see you next time on The Breakdown.
Now, that was a good program.
Yeah, I like that. It was definitely a pleasant session if you guys was paying attention.
That was a good program.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of us lack identity, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
So when you have these type of communication skills of knowing that it's okay to speak and be who you are, it helps the puzzle of you connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? It's important.
Right. So don't let them call you uneducated, say that it's improper, let people look down on you, because it's not. And if you need an example, just look at us, okay?
Just order her book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in there. Trust me.
Yeah. Check out the description box below.
Yeah.
Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way,
Facts.
as well as our join feature to become a VIP member of the channel. Check out the description box. We'll see you soon.
Peace.